Okay, good morning and welcome to Just Daf It as part of the greater Yeshiva YouTube. We're starting a new week today, Sunday. Nazir Davav, Nazir number 6. Nazir, everyone's favorite Masechta. Not my favorite Masechta. Let's get started. Hey, I'm at Bays on the bottom. 3 lines from the bottom. We're talking about Machlokas. We discussed on Daf Hey, I'm at Aleph. How long is Stam Nazir Shloshim Yom? The Mishnah says 30 days. Does that mean 30 days, 30 full days, or maybe 29 days? Our Pada says 29 days, right? It's called 30 days because the 30th day you bring your Kabbanos and you shave your head to complete your Naziros, even though you only have to observe the Isurim of the Naziros, the 3 primary Isurim of the Naziros, it's only for a full 29 days. So we're trying to figure out who the halacha is like. Nah, in Mishnah Nazir Shtei Naziros. This is also from a Mishnah on Daf Ted Zayin. Megaleach has a Rishon Yom Shloshim ve'echad. The 31st day he shaves his head, he brings the karbanos. Ve'ashniya, the second Naziris, right, he has to do after that, Liom Shishim ve'echad, on the 60th, first day. There's someone that Rav Masna, according to Rav Masna, says normal Nazir is actually full 30 days, right? The Yisurim apply 30 days nicha, right? 30 full days. Then you bring a karbanos. The second Naziris starts already on the 31st day. You bring your karbanos for the first Naziris. And you start the Yisurim, your second Naziris, that's why you're Megal Leach, that's why you shave, and you bring the second set of Karbanos on the 61st day. El Bar Pada, Tab of and Aleph, Bar Pada Kasha, according to Bar Pada. He says, really, technically, only 29 days. I'm not about Bar Pada. Bar Pada says, Ema Seifa, say end of the Mishnah. Vim Gileach, Hasashon, Yom Shloshim, if he did, like we said, B'di'evet, right? There's 2 types of Naziros. Even Bar Pada agrees there's a type of Naziros which is 30 days, called Shleimim, Nazirus Shlema, and the Nazirus Pchusa, right, Chasera, right, Mole v'Chaser. We'll talk about that at the end of the daf today, and Enid Ben Sion more. There's 2 really Bar Pada holds. There is a concept of 30-day Nazirus, but there's also a concept of 29 Nazirus. A regular Nazirus, if you don't specify otherwise, is the least, is 29 days. We go to the Hakil. If you say Shleimin, or the circumstances indicate that you meant a full Nazirus, then it'll be 30 days. So if you observe only 29 days and you brought the karbanos and you shaved your head on the 30th day, so then, right, on the 60th day you do that again, right? On the 30th day you start another period of 29 days. On the 60th day you used to end it. Right? The Seifa, which says that he can actually end his Nazirus, he can shave and bring the karbanos on the 30th day, so it shows from the Seifa that a real Nazir is only 29 days. A regular Nazir, a Stam Nazir, is 29 days. Messiah Reisha Omer Shleimim. In the Reisha where it says the 31st day is when your Nazir ends, that's talking about where he said, I want a Nazir Shlema, right? Or there's context, we would assume he meant a Nazir Shlema. Ulav Masna Kasha Seifa. What's he going to do with the Seifa? Right? How could it work with the Evid to be Megalech on the 30th day? Amalacha Rav Masna, Kediktani Seva, Yom Shoshim, Ol Lakan Lakan. He mixes Yom Kikulo, right? Like we said before, right? In the beginning of this, it's all one long Mishnah. We'll see it after Ted Zion. So, like we said yesterday, he holds mixes Yom Kikulo. So when he says Megaleah, but the Evid, Megaleah on the 30th day, it means you waited like say an hour. That's generally assumed mixes Yom Kikulo, and then you're Megaleah. So part of the 30th day is like the entire 30th day. So you're going to say over here also where he observed an hour on the 30th day, and then it counts both for the first Naziris and for the second Naziris. So we already said that in the Mishnah. We said that in the first teaching in the Mishnah. This is the second clause of the Mishnah. So the Mishnah says, it's only talking about one Naziris. We'd say mixed Yom Kikulo. Aval Naziris Lo wouldn't count one day as both the last day of your first Naziris and the first day of your second Naziris. Come on, Shmuan. We do. Tanan. Yom Shishari. I'm sorry. Let me go back for a second. Mixed Yom Kikulo, by Shtei Nazirus, we would say Mixed Yom Kikulo only by one Nazirus, right? By 2 Nazirus, right? The second 30-day period, right? We would say, right? It's clear from this Mishnah, the Sefer of the Mishnah, that the second Nazirus is 30 days, right? It says Im Gileach Rishon Yom Shloshim, Gileach Hashniel Yom Shishim. So it would be a full 30 days, right? You count part of the 30th day as part of the previous 29 plus 1. And then you start on that day another 30-day period. meaning you start the next day, a 30-day period. We're going to see in a second, meaning the 30th day counts as, right, the 30th day of your first Naziris. And then it says, Megaleach liyom shtil yom shishim. On the 60th day is Megaleach. Sorry, no, like we said before, right? The 30th day counts as both part of the first Naziris and the first day of the second Naziris, the last day of the first Naziris, and the first day of the second Naziris. Tanan, the Mishnah says, Im Gilech Yom Shishim Chasar Achas Yatsa. Shiyom Shloshim Olo Mina Minyan. The Mishnah there again continues that even according to Rav Masna, right, you're supposed to wait till the 60th day. If you're on the 59th day, you're Megaleach, that would work even according to Rav Masna. Vishnava L'Rav Masna. Nicha, according to Rav Masna, that we said before, Mixal Yom Kekula works for both the last day of the first Nazir and the first day of the second Nazir. El Bar Pada. Lamali, why do you have this? Hamar Shloshim Chasar Achas, right? He holds that 29 day Naziris is like a 29 days, so 29 plus 29, and then on the 5th, that's 58 days. On the 59th day, right, you're Megaleach a second time. That's not a Chiddush. Why would the Mishnah say that? So the Gemara says, Hamar Shloshim Chasar Achad. Our regular Naziris is 29 days. Amar L'cha'ani Nami Aha Samchi. Where did I get my Shita from, right? Stam Nazir Shloshim Yom. It's not clear. Is it like from a Masna or Rapada? Where did I get my Shita from? Obviously, we said we brought it from a pasuk. It says the word Nazir in the Torah 29 times, but also he got it from the Mishnah, which Mishnah supports him. Tanan, Mishamar Reini Nazir and Nitma Yom Shloshim Soser Sakol. He says I'm going to be a Nazir, and on the 30th day he becomes Tameh. Soser Sakol. The Mishnah says also on Daf Tet Zayin, it ruins the whole Naziris. Throws off the whole Nazir. You have to start counting again, another 30 days. According to Rav Masna, you have to be knowing the Isurim for 30 days. So therefore, on the 30th day, become Tameh, right? It destroys your whole counting. El Bar Pada Kasha, according to Rav Pada. It's a problem because according to Rav Pada, you only need 29 days. The 30th day, you're already finishing Naziris. Top of Ovam Beis, Amar Chabar Pada, Ema Seifa. Say the Seifa. Lezer says it's not Soser. You only have to count 7 days. Now, when it means Soser Shiva, it doesn't mean you have to count another 7 days in the Naziris. It just means since you became Tamei Lameis, right? Tumas HaMeis is what's, generally we assume ruins your Naziris, and you're not even Tamei Lameis. So therefore you have to wait 7 days to become Tor, right? The process to become Tor from Tumas HaMeis is 7 days. So you can't bring your Karbonos, right, for another 7 days. It doesn't mean you have to observe Naziris for another 7 days. According to Belezer, it's not so. So you finish your Naziris. You have to wait another 7 days before you become Tor. You can go to the base of the Mikdash and bring your Karbonos and Megalech and shave your head. So that's what Parda says. Parda says, I hold like Belezer. Belezer holds, right, 29 days. It's going to come out, right? And Parda is saying he's not like the Rabbanan, which is a problem a little bit. So if you say so now the Gemara is asking, fine, Reb Lezer makes sense according to Bar Pada, but we'd like to say Rav Masna would fit in both according to the Tanakama, the Rabbanan, and Reb Lezer. How do we do that? If you like Rav Masna, you need 30 full days, it should disrupt everything. Why does he see only 7 days? Because Reb Lezer mixes the Yom Kekulo, like Rav Masna says, he holds. Rav Masna asserted, a lot of the Mishnayos say, mix Yom Kekulo. He observed 30 days because he had 21 days plus, let's say, 1 hour. And then he becomes Tamei after that 1 hour. Tanan, Harini Nazir Meya Yom. The Mishnah says, he said, Nazir, again, another part of this Mishnah on Ted Zayin, must be a long Mishnah. I haven't seen it in a while. Harini Nazir Meya Yom. I'm Nazir for 100 days. Nitba Yom Meya. Right? The 100th day, imagine doing 99 days of Nazirah, and the 100th day, you lose it. You come accidentally in contact with a corpse. So Sarah Sakol, the Rabbanan hold, right? It disrupts everything. It destroys your entire account. Rabbi Lezer Omer, Eino Soser al Shloshim Yom. According to Rabbi Lezer, it's interesting because he says you have to actually do another Naziris, but only a 30-day Naziris, not a 100-day Naziris. Even though you pledged a 100-day Naziris, we'll see in a second why he says 30-day Naziris. Now, of course, this Mishnah is very problematic for Bar Pada, because according to Bar Pada, right, the reason it's not a problem for Bar Pada is because he said over here, right? 100 days. Rav Pada only said 29 days by Stam Nazir. When he says, I'm a Nazir, how many Nazir? 29 days. When he says 100 days, even Rav Pada agrees, 100 full days. The problem is, according to Rav Masna, who holds this Mixed Yom Kikulo, and Lezer holds Mixed Yom Kikulo, right? It should be 100 days counted, and you should only have to wait 7 days. You shouldn't have to make anything up. If he doesn't hold, potentially doesn't hold Mixed Yom Kikulo, this is Kulu. He should have to count another 100 days. Really, Lezer, the Gemara Lens says, doesn't take Mixed Yom Kikulo. So why is he counting 100 days? I'm Rish Lakish, Haina time with the Lezer. A new pshat in Rabbi Lezer. I'm across those Torahs HaNazir B'yom Los Yimei Nizro. HaTorah Amra Nitba B'yom Los Tein Lo Torahs Nazir. It's a drash from a pasuk. It's an extra pasuk. Those Torahs HaNazir B'yom Los Yimei Nizro. On the day where he's finishing, he's completing his Naziros. The 100th day, he's completing his Naziros. So it says Torah, the word Torah. Tein Lo Torahs Nazir. The Torah is the general rule in the Torah about a Nazir. Meaning Stam Naziros. So Lezer learns from this pasuk that if he's Matame the first 99 days, he has to go ahead and count the new 100 days. If it's on the completing day, so then you give him a regular make-up day of Nazirus, and he only has to observe 30 days to make it up. Fine. So the Gemara now is going to talk about maybe the Machlokas, Rav Masna and Bar Pada about Stam Nazirus is actually a Machlokas Tanoim. Leim say it's a Machlokas Tanoim. Ad Melos HaYamim, it says by a Nazir. The pasuk says, let's quote the pasuk. The article brings it. Kol Yimei Neder Nizro Tar Lo Yavel Al Rosho. All the days of Nazirus, he shouldn't shave his head. Ad Melos HaYamim, until the completion of the days. Ashigazir Hashem Kadosh Yagol Para Sarosho, until he completes the days. What is this pasuk telling? Ad Melos HaYamim. What does that mean to tell you? Shomani Miyut Yamim Shnayim. It has the word Yamim. I would think, right? The minimal amount of days is 2 days. It's plural, 2 days. Talmud Lomar, you think a regular Nazir should be 2 days. Talmud Lomar, Kodosh Yeh Gadol Pera, and Gidol Sar Pachim Mishloshim, Divar B'Yoshia, right? It has Gadol Pera, right? Your hair is growing, right? It's not called growing. 2 days, your hair didn't grow so much. At 30 days, it grew. Rabbi Yoshia. Rabbi Yonasan Omer, Eno Sarich. You don't have to read it from those words. Hareu Omer, Ad Melos HaYamim. The words itself, Ad Melos HaYamim, Melos, Elo Ehein Yamim Shasrichan Lamalos. What are the types of days that you have to, we're talking about completion. Have Yom Shloshim, a month, right? A month, according to the Jewish calendar, is either 29 days or 30 days. You have a Chodesh Mole and a Chodesh Chaser, right? So we're talking about a month, right? A month sometimes is completed and sometimes is deficient. So that's what we're talking about. My love, shouldn't we say Rav Masna Damak Rabbi Yoshia? Rav Masna says like the first opinion, Rabbi Yoshia, who says 30 days. It's not called Gidol Sar, right? It's not called growing your hair until it's a full 30 days. Rav Pada da Amar Rabbi Yonasan. Rav Pada says like Rabbi Yonasan, right? Rav Pada says, right? This is interesting because Melos HaYamim, right? Some months are Mole, some are Chaser. So this is really the source, like we said yesterday, that there's 2 types of Stam Naziros according to Rav Pada. There's a 29-day Naziros and a 30-day Naziros, right? If it's a complete Naziros, a Shleimim, that's 30 days. But you also, we learned it out from the lunar month. Sometimes it's deficient, it's 29 days. So therefore, B'di'evet, it could be 29 days. So the Gemara at least says that Rav Masna could agree with both Tanoim. Kuli alma shloshim beinan. Really, everyone agrees. Even Rabbi Yonasan agrees 30 days. It's just a question when it says ad. The word ad, is it inclusive or ad velod b'chlal, like the Malachos and Masakas Brachos, ad until and completing, or ad until but not the next number. Rabbi Yoshia Savra ad velo ad b'chlal. He holds ad melos, meaning until the completion of the month, which is 30 days, but not including the completing days, so it's 29 days. So he held obviously it was 30 days because the pasuk says a Gidol Sar is normally 30 days. So therefore he didn't learn it ad melos to ad melos. Rabbi Yonasan Savra ad b'chlal. He holds ad melos till the completion. So we're talking about, yes, you can learn it out from a month, and it's talking about dafka the completion of a month, a chodesh male, which is exactly 30 days. The Gemara doesn't talk about Bar Pada. Obviously, Bar Pada would have to agree with Rabbi Yonasan, right? And like I said before, he could agree with him in a different essence, in a different way that Rav Masna agrees with him. Rav Masna says ad b'chal. Rav Yonasan holds. You can say no. Rav Yonasan says it's not clear ad b'chal, ad v'lo ad b'chal. So therefore, you have both 29, both 30, which is like we said in Bar Pada. Sometimes it can be 29 days and sometimes 30. Amar Marsh. Let's just analyze this brayso. Yonasan said, what's the type of days you have to fill? It's talking about a month, 30 days. You have a chodesh maleh and chodesh chaser. Maybe Shabbos. Maybe it's not talking about a month. Maybe it's talking about a week. So the Gemara said, it can't be talking about a week. Shabbos, Mika Chasirusa. Is there any completion by Shabbos? Every week is 7 days. There's no week that's less than 7 days. So the top of Zayim and Aleph, Ema Shana. Maybe we're talking about a year, right? Right? There's the solar year and the lunar year, right? The Jewish calendar counts the lunar year, but we have to make it up. That's why out of every 19 years, 7 years are leap years. So the Gemara says, do we actually make up days? Right? We don't have a lunar year of 354 days, and let's say we'll add 11 days every year. We don't do that to make it a complete solar year. It says the word chadashim next to the year. So when you add on to the year, to the lunar year, you add only months. That's why out of every 19 years, you add an Adar Sheni, a second Adar, 7 of those years. But you don't add days. So therefore, at Malos HaYamim, when it talks about a Nazir, it can't be talking about a year. It says adding days. The only case you're talking about adding days is by a month. Sometimes you add an extra day for a 30th day, and sometimes the month is deficient, right? 6 months out of the year are deficient, 6 months out of the year are Malay. That's the conclusion of today's shir. Stay tuned for Ian with Ben Sion, where it's actually interesting. You know, we had a machlokas of Masa and Rapada, whether Stam Nazir is 30 days or 29 days. We gave a source, right? Rav Masa said it's because Yiyah Gamashra 30. And Rapada says the word Nazir 29 times in the Torah. But now we're bringing in a brayso on the Vavam Beis over here, and Rabbi Yosha and Yonasan, which the Gemara says it possibly could be a machlokas, same machlokas Rapada and Rav Masa, and they're giving it to two different sources. So how do you reconcile the sources that Rav Masa and Rapada give if they really do align, which is possible? They do align with this Malchus Hanoim. The Gemara is just docha and says maybe Rav Masa could say according to everybody. Rapada definitely says according to one of the Tanaim, and it's possible Rav Masa would only say according to Rabbi Yoshia. So how do you reconcile these two different sources? Ian with Ben Sion coming up next.